Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina. I'm the host here, and my guests today are hosts of another podcast on YouTube called Knitting Posse. We have Kim, Kate, and Laura. Hi, guys.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being my guest today. How does it feel to be a guest of another podcast? Like, is it weird?
We'll let you know. That's a good question.
It is a good question.
It was funny because we've been doing this now for a couple of years, but I was a little nervous today.
Yeah.
You know, maybe because we didn't have control of the editing.
Well, you're doing your show live.
Right.
Was there ever like any awkward moments in that thing just because you're live?
Well, so we prior to COVID, we used to record them and then post them. And then during COVID, we were doing Zoom, which is much easier to upload to YouTube. And so once COVID was over and we got back together, we decided, you know what, maybe we'll try this live thing because there's nothing like YouTube automatically uploads it and we're not big into the tech stuff. So,
so we'll just kick each other under the table if we say something stupid.
Well, let's go back. How did you guys meet before you decided to start podcasts? Like, what was that?
Okay, so I've been knitting for a long time, started knitting again when my kids were very little, and I was looking for a group. Like, I wanted to meet other knitters. And our library, we live in a great town, we have a great library, they do a lot of good programming, excuse me, and they started this drop-in like knitting. You could crochet, although I don't think many people did. And I had met Kim through tennis, and I kind of somehow knew that she knit, and I was like, you should come. She knew Kate, so she knew that Kate was a really good knitter, and she came, and we just all became friends. And as you're probably aware, there was a fourth person, Lorianne, who I think you knew Lorianne before, but so the four of us really connected, and there were a lot of other people. It was one of the more successful programs that they ever did at the library, because we really went for years before COVID.
Yeah.
But the four of us just became really good friends. We were kind of, interested in the same. We were all about the same age, and it just took off from there.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were in the library and we became such a loud group. They had to move us to another floor.
Yes, that's true.
Because we kept getting shushed. And we're like, what?
How did that change your knitting? Because like when people think about knitting, right, they're thinking it's this solitary kind of existence when you sit at home in your rocking chair and you like, watch TV and knit. Like, how did the whole social aspect of it change knitting for you?
Oh, I think I became much more hooked, and it was like having Instagram live. They would bring projects in. I'm like, oh, I need to make that one. Yeah. I need to make that one. So for me, it really lit a fire.
And it's just like seeing what other people are doing in real life, like makes a difference, I think, versus seeing it in a picture. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, I definitely like that. And you can try things on too. So yeah.
I think we became cheerleaders for each other. We have this really
definitely
long before we podcast, we had a text chat, the four of us, and we just like support each other, and you'd post a photograph or you'd ask a question. Oh, what do you think about this? Or whatever it was. Or,
how do you do that?
Yeah. And it was amazing. Just the text chat alone enhanced my knitting experience. And then, knitting together, and then eventually podcasting.
And then Lorianne happened to name it in our text chat. And I remember I was on vacation with my sister-in-law and I was swimming, and she's like, dude, the Knitting Posse just sent you a text. What the? And I was like, oh, those are my knitting friends.
I mean, does it make a difference? Because like when you talk about meeting with your significant other or your relatives or your children, there is a lot of like eye rolls and,
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then when you when you talk to fellow knitters, there's like so much excitement and so much enthusiasm coming through. Like, do you feel like you found your people through that?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
100%.
Yeah. And I can't wait for going to like Rhinebeck or Vogue Knitting is probably, it's like the Disney World for us.
Yeah.
We're like
Yes. Yeah.
5-year-olds, like we smile for days
Yeah.
after
it's
true.
those trips, and just
Yeah.
thinking about everyone we've met and touching sweaters. Oh,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
me happy just
yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Does it put pressure on you because like one person needs faster, one person needs something more
We
advanced?
kicked her
like-
out of the group. Just kidding. We did not. We did not. But it,
no,
not for me.
no, I
it
don't
never,
think so.
no.
I do my best.
Yeah,
That's-
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
I-
guys ever need the same thing at the same time?
Kim and I could twin on a week together with like the exact same sweater, and actually most of the time in the exact same colors. We tend to knit a lot of the same
Yeah.
things.
I think the three of us, especially, I might not always knit the exact same thing, but we tend to like the same designers. We have a similar aesthetic.
Yes, definitely.
The three of us, I think we, tend to gravitate towards the same things.
You mentioned to me that Grocery Girls was like one of the podcasts that sort of gave you an idea, inspired you to start your own podcast. Like, were you always watching podcasts together? Did you swap information about like which ones you like? How did that happen?
So Kim and I actually started watching a lot of the podcasts. I teach a knitting class through the continuing ed in our town, and another woman that was in the class, she started talking about the podcast when they first started. And so the Grocery Girls was a big influence on us, as well as
Woolen Vine, Kristen.
Woolen Vine and
Espace
Espace
Tricot.
Tricot.
the Miss
So we met both Melissa and Lisa from Espace Tricot at Rhinebeck, and we also met Jodi and Tracie the year that they went to Rhinebeck, and they were very supportive. We had been thinking about starting a podcast, and they were all like, just do it. You don't need equipment, just start and talk about your knitting. And so we did.
Well, was it difficult for you to decide the format of your podcast? Like, did you know that you're going to be like, okay, here's what we wear and here's what we work on? Like, was it like from the beginning
Not
established
really,
format?
but I also after Zoom, I'm like, I hope people are on board with that format, because it seems like all the podcasts kind of have that format. So, well, we'll just do what we do.
Yeah.
It seems to work. I want to know what people are wearing. When I watch other people's, I want to see what they're knitting. I want to see what they bought. So the topic doesn't get old for me.
And a lot of people actually comment on our podcast. We talk about whether we like a project or we don't like a project. And we talk about what we don't like about different things. And I mean, we do it in a nice way, I think, but we definitely will let you know the truth, because we're not trying to sell anything.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference. We are just friends who are just throwing this out there, and we laugh about it, but I think none of us expected to get more than 100 people watching. We're like, all right, we'll just throw it out there. And I think for me, we do get a lot of comments that people are like, oh, you're so honest about everything, which I love. But what makes me the happiest, probably you guys too, is when someone posts a comment, says, I just watched you and I felt like I was sitting and knitting with friends. And that's all I ever wanted to accomplish. Like, again, we're not selling anything. We're just saying, here's what we're doing. And was it good? Was it bad? Did we like the yarn? Would we make it again? What mods did we make? But really, it's like the friendship, and we're putting it out there. And if people who don't have their own posse close by feel that they have knitting friends, I just, that to me is 100% success.
Right. Well, let's talk about that very first episode. So there you are sitting in front of that camera. Who are you talking to? Like, who in your imagination was your audience at that time?
Huh.
Well, I mean, we joked about the first one, like
My
we hope
mom.
that Kim's mom watched us, but yeah, pretty much, like, yeah. And we were surprised by, we got responses, from across the country, but also all around the world.
Yeah.
And Kim and I were watching when we first published, and we'd watch like, oh my gosh, we have 10 subscribers. Oh my gosh, we have 15 subscribers. And that the number kept going up and up and up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our kids were like, well, how are you promoting it? We're like, we're not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what was your learning experience as far as like finding those subscribers? Did you try to do anything to attract them? Like nothing at all?
No, we posted it. The only thing we did was what's the membership we have on YouTube?
Oh, it's like,
so we don't have to pay for commercials.
The Prime, like it's not Prime, it's something else.
I thought I was going to call it Prime
So
too.
every
Yeah.
month I just pay a fee, and I don't have to, we can watch other people's podcasts and skip the
Right.
the ads. I don't know, for some
I
reason
don't
I
know.
think
Yeah.
that might have helped a little bit, but we met Kim and Jana from
Knit
Knit
Together
with Kim and Jana a
It's
couple
another
weeks ago.
podcast.
And she was saying there's a whole algorithm about
Yeah.
how to do it, and the more you post, the more you're visible.
And the more consistently you post on the same day or whatever. And we were just like,
we had no thought.
That's not it. That's not us.
no.
So like before you start, right? Like you have whatever you're wearing, and you bring with yourself like whatever you're working on, whatever yarn you bought. Do you talk about how the conversation is gonna happen? Like who is going first, who is going second?
Yeah,
or-
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we pick a host each time, so we rotate who's going to host, and basically we have the same format each time, so we don't talk about it necessarily beforehand other than who's hosting, because we kind of know the
How it's gonna
routine
go.
by now.
And with Zoom, I've from watching other people, we wanted to be very careful about not talking over each other.
Mhm.
So it was more about turn taking.
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Because
is that difficult for you, because there is it used to be 4 of you and now 3 of you? Like, is it difficult to wait for your turn and to like figure out who's going to answer what question and say what?
So
no.
Kim and I were both elementary school teachers in our former lives, and so no, that's not hard for us because we used to teach that. And Laura's a very good turn taker.
Most of the time.
We were afraid when
Yeah.
Lorianne left that we would have too much time, like we didn't have enough time to fill it.
Enough
but-
content.
in content with all the extra knitting, but I feel like we've organically moved into something
Oh,
that
definitely.
works. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more banter.
Yeah.
Yes.
You ever under pressure to finish something for the episode, for the filming of the episode?
No, I got
No.
bigger problems in
No.
my life. Really, this is our fun stuff.
Yeah.
And we really sort of average once a month. And I think if you were doing like once a week or once every 2 weeks, maybe I'd feel a little more pressure. Like,
Yes.
oh, I don't have anything new, or I was away on vacation and I didn't knit anything. But
yeah.
usually within a month, I've accomplished something.
Something,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, or I'm
Yeah.
still frustrated, or.
Agreed.
But no, I never feel pressure to
Mm-mm.
finish anything.
Who are your audience? Do you have relationship with them? Is it like the same people who watch every single episode that you post?
There's a lot of people that consistently watch
Yes.
and will reach out
And comment,
and
yeah.
comment. And there's a few that personally I speak to on DMs or on Instagram,
Mhm.
and I know about their kids, or we've met them at Rhinebeck, and
Yes.
we've met their families. So we've met friends.
We definitely have.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
an
like you-
amazing community.
When you
Yeah,
came to
like-
Rhinebeck, right?
Oh,
Did
God,
it-
that was-
Did it feel like it was your like stardom moment? Like, did people recognize
Oh,
you?
no, it's a story.
The first
So,
one.
yeah, so the first one, when we started podcasting,
We
in
started
September,
podcasting in September,
and
then
we went to Rhinebeck just because we were going to Rhinebeck in October, and we were floored at how many people recognized us. I was like,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to describe. I'm like, people who know me don't understand this, but I'm kind of a shy person
Yeah.
when I don't know people.
Mhm.
And I was kind of like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, it was crazy. It was weird. And I'm not saying we were mobbed, but just the fact that anyone had already
Yes.
seen us. And when we went to Vogue the following January, it was even bigger.
more. Yeah.
And I just was,
It was fun. We took pictures with people.
Yeah.
We just talked about where they live and what they're knitting. And honestly, I feel like
We've
there
made
have
so
been,
many
we
connections.
have met so many connections that the type of people be like, hey, we're in Kansas,
Yeah.
can we stop by?
Yeah, yeah.
you communicate with other podcasters as well. Like when I saw you guys at Rhinebeck, you were with Kevin and Ray from Needles at the Ready.
I was
like
accosting them.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that was my question. So like when you meet other podcasters, are they like celebrities for you? Do you see them as equals, as your like colleagues, or do you?
It depends who it is. Like
Yeah.
Stephen West, forget it.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
Boylan Knits, you still get giddy
Yeah.
over, right?
Caitlin Hunter.
Caitlin Hunter, like those. I mean,
yeah.
But a lot of people like Caddy Jacks, they started about a little after us, so we.
Yes.
I don't know. We watched them.
We've met them, yeah,
and we've talked to them.
yeah.
But so to me, I'm not. You know, the big names though.
But
still get me. Gigi. Oh my
Yeah,
God, we get
yeah.
excited when we see
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
Do you talk shop? Do you talk about like the all the techniques of YouTube and like the strategies?
We've talked to Kevin and Ray about it because
Yes.
they are our neighbors in town.
And
you
our
know,
BFFs.
And our and a little bit with Kim and Jonna.
Yes.
Because there's a lot to learn
Yeah.
about YouTube. And I mean, we talked to you a little bit before about how to do things. So
Yeah.
we don't know what the heck we're doing.
No, we don't.
I mean, is there like a dream or ambition for the channel? Like, do you want to grow to a certain level? Do you want to learn how to advertise yourself? Like, is that part of the conversation between the three of you?
Gosh, we've never really.
Not really.
We haven't
Not
really
yet.
talked about it.
I think
yeah.
we're still in the place where we're amazed at the fact that we passed 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
But then some people have made comments on the YouTube. They're like, you should have way more than 5,000 subscribers. I'm like, okay.
Do you ever like wake up and like, oh my God, I wish I had 10,000? Like, is that?
No, but if we got there, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's not our job.
Yeah.
This isn't our job.
Yeah.
This is something we love to do. And honestly, when we're together, it's just like we're at the library and we're knitting,
Right,
and
yeah.
we sometimes forget the camera's on.
It's yeah, I mean, it really is like the conversations that we have on camera are very similar to what we have off camera.
Yeah.
So we're just turning the camera on and letting everybody
But
be
if-
part of our posse.
10,000 would be pretty cool.
It would be.
Pretty cool.
How was that growth for you? Like, was it always like a few more subscribers after every episode, or was like there ever a huge
I'd
jump?
say, but I'll talk because I sent
Yes.
before I used to do some of the editing. I'd say each episode we put up, we get about 100 new subscribers.
Mhm.
So, and then when say Kevin and Ray mention our name, or Dinah and Pam at the knitting place,
Yeah.
love those gals. Then all of a sudden we'll see a burst in subscribers.
Right.
So
Right.
that's fun too. And I'm sure after, maybe with yours or vice versa, maybe a burst. Who knows? We don't do it on purpose.
Let's hope for double burst.
Yeah, right. Come on, 10,000
Yeah.
for both of us.
Woohoo! We're open.
Well, I'm much further behind. Since I started much later than you guys, so I'll 5,000 sounds amazing to me at the moment. How do you decide, like, what attracts you in knitting? Are you always knitting sweaters? Like, are you thinking of knitting as something wearable, practical, or do you go for difficulty, the technique, the colors? Like, what is it that speaks to you?
You should speak about this.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a huge thing. And I think historically, I was drawn to something that, again, maybe technique, maybe a unique construction, something. And I used to knit a lot of shawls, and guess what? I don't wear them. So I have really consciously tried to move towards, will I wear this? And in my head, what I think when I get all excited about a pattern, I see it, I'm like, if that was hanging on a rack in a store, would I purchase that? Like, is it something that's going to fit into my wardrobe? And that's kind of been my focus. I don't always succeed, but I'm trying not to because I just love knitting. And sometimes I'm not upset if I knit something and it doesn't really work for me, but I'm trying to move more towards that, like focusing on things that I will actually wear.
Yeah.
Hats and stuff, like big, huge shawls. they're so fun to knit, and I'd get so inspired because it would be the new thing, and then they're hanging in my closet and I don't wear them, and it's silly.
So none of us actually really knit like the latest and greatest right when they come out.
Agreed.
Most of the time we kind of let it simmer for a little bit, and if we're still like thinking about it like a month or so later, then we'll jump on the bandwagon. But we've been like delayed in what we knit based on what's on Instagram.
Well, it's an investment with time and money, you know, which is like
an emotion too. Like I'm knitting a Letho Wee right now, and that sweater was hot like a year and a half ago, and I'm finally getting
and you bought it.
Yeah.
What did we say?
6 months ago?
9 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to
Be more mindful
about will I wear this when it's done?
Yeah.
What's the oldest thing in your collection that you still wear?
Ooh, it's a really good question.
That is a good question.
I think you stumped us on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Well, while you're thinking about that, what happens to all the things you knit? Like, do you keep them all? Do you eventually, like, if you're not wearing something, gift it to somebody or give it away? Like, what's happening to all the stuff you're knitting?
Yeah.
All of the above.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some of it I keep because I love it and I think I'll wear it. Sometimes I've actually given stuff, donated stuff, or given something to a friend that I think they might like it, like a hat or something like that.
Kate's given me a
yeah.
sweater. We swapped a few times.
Yeah.
Or if it just doesn't fit at the, when you're finished with it, I know these two tiny girls will enjoy it.
Well, is in your view, like, is there somebody who is not knit-worthy?
Not knit-worthy?
Someone that gets whatever you make for them and are like, oh, thanks, and then puts it right aside. I don't knit for many people.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I remember the first year I started knitting, I knit everybody in my family something. And I knit my father-in-law a beautiful cashmere scarf. And he just took it. He's like, that's nice, and threw it on the ground. And I'm like, oh, you're done. You're done. No more knitting.
Yeah.
Well, let's talking about investment, right? What's your personal stashes look like? And continuing that question, when you come to a knitting festival, do you feel the fact that you're going together prevents you from buying the entire festival, or encourages you to buy more than you would otherwise?
Enablers.
Yeah. So we actually have this little running joke with when we go to those kind of things, and if we're debating on something, the other one starts saying, do it. So that's how that works.
Yeah. Well, especially when you go to some sort of yarn festival, there's this feeling like, oh, I can't think about this because I may not have access to whatever this yarn is later. Yeah. Maybe you will, some of them, but a lot of it's like, oh, I got to get it now. And I'm
this sweater.
I'm a very impulsive yarn buyer, and yes, my stash is embarrassingly large. But I love it all.
We've been trying to be better though. So like if we're going to a festival for 2 days, like Rhinebeck this year, Kim and I went, and the first day we just kind of looked around. We didn't buy anything. And then the second, that night we went home and kind of thought about the yarns and looked at different projects. And then the second day we went back and did a little damage.
I personally don't have a huge yarn stash. I have about 4 boxes, and they're the thin ones. One are worsted, LD, I almost said. And buying too much yarn makes me anxious. I keep seeing it there, and I'm like, oh, I got to get to that project. I've got to get to that next one. So I just kind of, although there are times.
Are you inspired by the yarn or the projects? Like, do you have a project in mind when you see yarn, or you see yarn and you don't care what it's going to become, you just have to have it?
I think more for me, projects.
Me too,
but I definitely, if I see something beautiful, I'll get it and figure out what it's going to be, but it's definitely more project driven.
Yeah, like ever a time when you walk into that room that has all your yarn stash and you look at it and you're thinking, okay, like what I'm going to make, and nothing comes to mind? Like, is there ever that creator's block that you don't know what's next?
That's what Ravelry's for.
Exactly.
So I have yarn that I bought a long time ago, and here's what sometimes happens for me. I buy yarn for a project, and by the time I'm getting around to it, I don't really want to make that project anymore. And I will go on Ravelry and go, look for that yarn, and then go look at projects, and almost always be inspired by, oh my God, somebody made this in this same yarn. And it very much depends on how successful that project was. But I spend,
Thank God for Ravelry.
oh my God, it's the rabbit hole. You just disappear, and I could spend hours on Ravelry. I just love looking at projects. And I think that was a huge game changer, and also enhanced the entire experience of the knitting community. It's amazing.
In your mind, collecting yarn, collecting patterns, and knitting, is it all one hobby? Is it three different ones?
That's a good question.
I think for me it's one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I think so.
And especially when I'm watching other podcasts, I'm like, I always have a pad of paper next to me, and I'm like, ooh, write that one down. And the queue just kept getting longer and longer and longer. So
how organized are you with your Ravelry? Like when you're knitting something, do you take very detailed notes, like every change you make?
I'm terrible at it.
She uses it for other things, but she
I
doesn't
don't
keep her
post
projects
my
on it.
projects on it, and I should.
Kim
really
and
should.
I do put our projects on it.
you put more
The
detail
notes-
in than I do.
Do I? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess
forget.
yeah. Well, so I actually like a paper
Me too.
project, a paper pattern when I'm knitting, and I do take notes on that, and I try to transcribe that onto my Ravelry project pages. And especially now that we have other people looking at our project pages, I try to be a little better about that, because I know for me, I definitely look at other project pages on Ravelry and look at people's notes in order to help me with what I'm making. So
If you saw my paper pattern at the end of a sweater, you'd be like, what is all that on there? There's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I write all over my paper
Yeah.
patterns. I couldn't do it on a screen.
And God forbid someone calls and leaves a message. That's on there,
Their favorite designers for the podcast? Like, is there somebody that you're always knitting?
I will say we love Beth McDonald Stone's
Yeah.
projects. We love her personally. Julie Hoover, big fan.
Huge fan.
Isabel Kramer,
Isabel Kramer.
Yeah,
We've
love
actually
her
done a
stuff.
test knit for her.
Hohi,
Oh yeah.
I love her patterns.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
seems to be our go-to. Espace Tricot. We've done a lot of their patterns.
Yeah.
So like when you don't meet for filming, how often do you guys see each other outside of the podcast?
So before COVID, it was more frequent. And then obviously during COVID, we didn't. And
Well, we're in a book club together outside of a knitting club, Laura and I. So we see each other, and we used to play a lot of tennis, and we play paddle tennis together. So we do that. And Kate and I we can walk to each other's homes. So, and we go to the
Same gym. Yeah.
same gym. So I'm lucky I get to
we're
see
friends
you.
outside of knitting,
Yeah.
for sure. But
when you don't knit, what else do you guys enjoy?
Paddle tennis. I love playing that. I love my work. I have a job. I work at a garden nursery. So I'm always playing in the dirt or playing with yarn.
not a bad place to
No.
be.
Yeah.
For me, paddle, tennis, dog walk every day. I read a lot. Sometimes if I'm in a big knitting zone, though, I don't read as much, but I read a lot.
Yeah, and I walk my dog every day as well. So I'm usually out for a walk no matter what day.
And you go to the gym almost every single day.
I go 5 days a week.
5 days.
5 days a week.
So
Yeah.
she's an animal.
And I like baking, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
And dark chocolate, right?
and chocolate. Chocolate's my favorite food. And dark chocolate is healthy for you. So it's a win-win.
How do you think you influence each other? Like, how do you change each other? Like, how were you compared to before you met each other?
Oh, I think we definitely influence each other by like different patterns that we all find. You know, we'll send like, oh, did you guys see this one on Ravelry, or did you see this one on Instagram? And we'll send off a quick text. But again, as Laura said, we do have kind of the same aesthetic, so we do seem to gravitate towards the same things.
But personally, I think because we've spent so much time together, they've become very good dear friends of mine.
Yeah,
You know, we share
Yeah.
a lot outside of knitting too. You know,
definitely,
they're my go-tos if
Yeah.
I need a go-to, or minus knitting, you know.
definitely.
Do you plan like events for the year? Do you tell each other, let's do this, let's do that? Like, do you know what you're doing in 2022? Like what festivals you're going, or what kind of things you're gonna attend?
I want to go to all of them. It just doesn't
Yes,
necessarily
yeah.
happen. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't make it to Rhinebeck in the fall because one of my sons lives in Colorado and it was his birthday, and we had said a while ago that we were going to go, and then I realized it was the same weekend, and I love my son to death and I'm glad I made the right choice, but it was heartbreaking to not go to Rhinebeck because, you know, especially because we'd had 2 years of no festivals. So
Yeah.
we try to go, you know, anything that's reasonably close, we're there if we can.
Yeah.
It just, you know, life gets in the way sometimes for us,
And sometimes
but we don't have it,
finances too.
Yeah.
we don't really have it charted out. It's just like
No.
we know what the local-ish things are, and we
Well, I
try
know
to go.
Maryland Sheep and Wool is coming up in May, so I.
Are you guys going there?
Well, we haven't really
We
talked
haven't
about
talked
it yet,
about
but
it,
I've
yeah.
been meaning to say, like, should we do it? We're close.
Because
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm toying with that idea, so
Are you?
I just might meet you there.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
We'll keep in
We're
touch.
lucky where we live physically because Rhinebeck is like a day trip for us.
Yeah.
And Vogue Knitting New
In New
York,
York is
and
easy.
yeah, the New York, the Connecticut Sheep and Wool, the Stitches United when they have that in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
They're all within driving distance for us, so we are quite lucky
Mhm.
in that respect.
We were going to go to the one in Montreal.
We were.
We had tickets.
We had tickets originally to go, and then now that they've changed the dates, like I think 3 times
Mhm.
now, it's not going to work for us. But we're really bummed about
I
that
think
one.
a dream for me would be 2 dreams. Go to Stitches West. That would be
Ooh,
really fun.
yes,
And
yes.
Paola from Mayak Yarn,
Oh.
she's killing me. They're doing a trip to Venice with
Murano,
Julie
yeah.
Julie
Yeah.
Hoover. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
That hits all the buttons.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you
Some
have
of
a
our
favorite festival from like what you already visited?
No, Rhinebeck is
I
my
think
favorite.
Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
The time of the year and just the community. They're
and
all,
the
yeah.
energy and enthusiasm. It's
And I like
incredible.
being outside.
And it's outside. That's what I was going to say. Vogue Knitting New York is fabulous, but it's all inside, and it's January, and it's cramped, and
And the lighting
It's
is
a lot.
terrible.
The lighting in
so
there is
You can bring
terrible.
home yarn and be like,
true.
not quite what I thought it was. Because and they know it, but
Yes.
the lighting is terrible
Yeah.
in that building
Yeah.
on the floor the floors, but
Yeah.
definitely Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, you
it's
like taking classes at festivals?
No.
No.
it's all about seeing people.
Yep.
Yeah, I would feel like I'm missing out
Yeah.
on the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like for me, it changed. Like the first Rhinebeck I went to, it was all about classes and all about buying yarn. And the second time I went to, it was all about social interaction. And I think like I bought maybe like 2 skeins of yarn and I didn't take a single class. So it's like it changes.
That's
And-
why the 2 days are great.
Yeah.
Because you
Yes.
can
Yes.
socialize the first day, kind of take a bird's eye view, and then the next day get down and busy.
Would you ever bring your spouses to any of the festivals?
My husband would be bored out of his mind.
Jay would love to come, but this is my gig.
So
Yeah.
I actually you say that, and I'm laughing because one year the Brooklyn yarn crawl, I brought my husband and my 2 sons. And actually they thought it was fabulous because I'd go into the yarn shop, they'd go to the pizza place next door. I'd go into another yarn shop, they'd go to the bakery next door. I'd go into another yarn shop, they went to the ice cream shop. So they thought it was fabulous.
Well, I feel like Rhinebeck also has a lot to offer for the significant others or kids. Like it's there's a lot of like the life animals and
Yeah.
demonstrations and tests.
He's saying he wants to go. He wants to go and see this experience that we feel.
Right.
But I'm like, you're not going to get it. You're not. You
No,
know. He's
yeah.
like, what?
I think it's kind of like you said at the very beginning, you know, we all have a lot of other friends, and almost all my friends know that I knit, but I don't talk about it with them at all because it's not interesting to them if they don't also knit. Even I have friends who knit, but they're not into it at the same level. And when you're at Rhinebeck, like everybody they're your people. Like it's so, you can just let your geek flag fly and you know, you're with people who get it on the same level that you are at. And it's not to say it's bad. I don't think anyone I don't feel like anyone makes fun of me or thinks it's weird that I knit, but I don't talk about it with certain people, never. And when you're at a festival like that, everybody is in the same place that you are at, like with as far as enthusiasm and excitement about it.
Have you ever received any criticism of any of your episodes? Like, was there anything that people didn't like?
We've had a few, no, maybe one I was thinking of. We were joking around with each other and
I made a silly comment.
She made a comment, but
someone took offense to
the comment, but they don't know the relationship that we had. They were being very caring and, you know, worried about whoever it happened to, but we were like, what? This is our banter. This is how we roll. Yeah. But other than that, no.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Not really. No.
We've been lucky.
We have been lucky because, you know, we've watched what happens out there. And
well, I also think like we try not to get into anything except for knitting. You know, there's other podcasts and like the Knitters League, and I love their podcast. They'll talk about books or they'll talk about makeup.
We do a little bit.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we just really just keep it about the knitting and don't get into areas that maybe could be controversial.
What's Instagram like for you?
I love it. But I have to be careful on it, you know? Because you could spend a lot of time just keep scrolling through and down, you know, just keep going all day. And it can also make me anxious too, you know? Like, oh, I need that one now. Oh, I want to make that. Our Knitting Posse Instagram page is fun. I love to read our comments. I love the minute we post something, like it's fun. It's fun. That's our interaction. But personally, I've got to take it easy on Instagram.
Yeah, you can.
Who does what? How do you decide? Like, who has what responsibility as far as YouTube channel and Instagram channel? Like, who runs?
We kind of all take turns. Like,
we do.
Instagram, we try not to post the same time. We're, you know, so we'll take turns posting. It's whenever something's done. Before I post, I check to make sure they didn't post.
And Laura's not as big on the social media stuff as Kim and I are. So like if we get a DM or something and it's for Laura, we'll just send her a text, like go check it. Yeah.
And YouTube, Kate did all the Zoom stuff, but we take turns doing show notes. And, you know, just it can't become one person's
we don't
job.
we don't have assignments.
Well, I'm so glad you guys agreed to be on my channel. I really enjoyed seeing your interaction and like getting to know you better. And I hope we're gonna see each other soon at some.
I hope so too.
That would be really
fun. Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be great. We'll let you know. Yeah, because honestly, that was the first time I've been meaning to mention.
Yeah, I know it came out in a text, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been there? Have you gone there before?
Not
we haven't done that one. No.
Have you?
No, not yet. And I think it's the oldest woolen sheep festival in America, actually.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Interesting.
I would have thought that was Rhinebeck.
No, it's
excellent.
All right. Yeah,
well, there's a good excuse.
Let's look into that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, so I hope I'll meet you there.
Hopefully
everything holds and COVID is letting.
I know, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being guests of my channel today.
Thank you.
So fun. Thank you. Thank you.